Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. In this mini lesson, we are going to discuss nonprofit management as a profession. In order to gain an understanding about nonprofit management as a profession, we will need to address two fundamental questions. Those questions are, why do nonprofit organizations need to be managed? And who are those managers? So let's start with, who are nonprofit managers? Nonprofit managers are key personnel on the ground in the organization that make critical decisions related to the structure and function of the organization, and also are involved in the execution of the mission and the vision of the organization. So, with that being said, your nonprofit managers, um, from the employee side, are typically going to be an executive director. Depending on how large or small your organization is, you might have an assistant executive director. You will have a fundraising and development coordinator. Typically, there will be someone over outreach, so an outreach coordinator or a volunteer coordinator. And then, in addition to salaried staff that you have on hand, you also are governed by the board of directors. So that consists of the board members, and then, of course, there are officers. So those managers are your chair, your vice chair, your secretary, your treasurer. Every organization is a little bit different, and board composition is always going to be a little bit different, but it's outlined in the bylaws. And so, from the internal level, those are the people that are actually making the decisions about um, board management, organization management, and they take care of all of the critical tasks in order for the organization to run. So, why do nonprofits need to be managed? Well, because as a distinct profession, you have to have people that are specifically out there that are making the connections. So, for example, like in nonprofits, we rely heavily on external resources to achieve the goals and objectives. So, when we're relying on these external resources, we have to have people that manage those complex relationships with stakeholders. So, for example, let's say your organization is seeking to help with food insecurity. So you're probably going to have some stakeholders that are in a business where they have food to give away, or they have resources. In order to promote your mission and your vision, you have to have someone that is making those connections and cultivating those relationships. That is one of the most important jobs, as within the management role, that's really specific to this as a distinct profession. Also, you have the double bottom line. You have to have people that are on the ground that are measuring not just the financials, because in corporate America, they always say the bottom line, and it's really about money. But in nonprofits, you have to have someone that is collecting data related to how much of a social impact the organization is having. And what people think, which is a huge and incorrect assumption about nonprofits, is that nonprofits don't make money. Well, they actually do make a lot of money, most of them, and they make money so that they can take their earnings, their earned income, and put it back into the mission, and continue to promote the mission. But in order for them to be able to do that effectively, you have to have people that are measuring the social benefits. So did we serve the 1,500 people that we said we wanted to serve? And out of all of the 1,500 people, did over 40% of them complete the program? So there's always this measurement piece that has to go on, and that is the job of the nonprofit managers to determine if the programs are valuable and making the impact that they are seeking. Also, in nonprofits, we address problems that are difficult and intractable. I mean, we've got domestic violence, food insecurity, problems with education. Most of the time, nonprofits are attacking problematic and systemic issues that are very specific to the community. So, geographic um, information has to be collected. You have to collect information, not in addition to the geographics, the demographics, the population, all of the information that you need in order to have a program. You need to make sure that your organization is actually fixing the problem that it's seeking to fix, and the managers are responsible for that. Um, so, why is there a need for effective management? Well, because back between 2005 and 2015, there was huge growth in the capital generated from nonprofit organizations. Actually, according to the Giving USA Foundation, from 2005, the nonprofit sector had about $200 billion in assets. That number almost doubled to 380 billion in 2017. And if you look at the timeline, it was kind of around the huge economic crisis that we had here in the United States. So there were a lot of organizations forming in order to fix those problems. So because of the growth in the sector, there's been increased competition for funding. Now you've got a whole bunch of organizations that are applying for the same grant. And if you can't show that your organization is doing well and is achieving the mission and vision that it seeks to do, then you're not going to get any money. There's also, because of the growth, there's um, this big focus on capacity and sustainability. Well, we serve those 1,500 people, but are we going to be able to do that again next year? And because of I previously had mentioned the growth in the sector and all of its assets. So you have to have people that are out there um, on the ground in the organization that are taking care of seeing that all these things are done. And that is why we need effective nonprofit management. Um, and I think that's all I have. Thank you for listening.